My name is Bert van Stechelman and I'm partner at Expertum. And in these last 20 years, I have written more or less 10 books. My latest book is on SAP on Azure. And the reason why I did the SAP on Azure book is because I'm convinced that Microsoft has a lot of very good solutions for your SAP systems installed in the cloud. And in the next 8 video sessions, I will explain you what these added values are and how you can implement them in your environment. Welcome to the last session of SAP on Azure. In this session, we will discuss how to transfer your system to a cloud environment. This is the Prepare Your Transformation section from the SAP on Azure presentation. We have been discussing on how to deploy your systems in Azure. And we've been discussing virtual machines, storage, networking. We had a discussion on high availability, on disaster recoverability. I've been listing design implementation guidelines from SAP and then some design guidelines from Expertum. And in this section, I will discuss how to prepare your transformation. From a side note, the Prepare Your Transformation section is not only applicable when migrating to the Azure cloud, it is basically applicable when migrating SAP systems. You could use these transformation tips if you would go to another data center, if you would go to Azure or another public cloud provider. It has to do with how to migrate an SAP system, and it has nothing to do what the target architecture is. So we defined at Expertum our own OSDB migration methodology some time ago, and this methodology was also published by SAP Press in the OSDB migration project guide a long time ago. And we still use this methodology when migrating systems. What it basically contains, the methodology is applicable to migrating SAP landscapes, of course. It is applicable when doing an OSDB migration, meaning that you export and import your data. You would use the OSDB migration methodology when going from, for example, Linux to Windows, or going from Oracle to SQL Server or Sybase. But the same methodology can also be used when doing backup restore. When doing export-import, you can even include database and operating system upgrades, and this is something we will always try to achieve, because by doing that, you avoid a database or operating system upgrade which has to be done anyway. So how does it work? It starts with an infrastructure audit. It starts with the migration methodology and a choosing of the procedure. We go for test migrations. We go from technical and functional testing. Now, technical testing is very important because in any migration, you will have a new high availability and disaster recovery solution, and people will need time to learn and to adapt to that new way of working. Even if you would go from SQL Server to HANA, for example, you will need to train your system administrators to work with that new database. Now, functional testing is something which we can discuss if it is really needed. It actually depends. If you would go from Linux to Windows or the other way around, you will probably need some functional testing from your interfaces, from an interface perspective. Now, functional testing within the application itself is not really needed. VA 01 or 01 will still be VA 01 and will function exactly the same way. Something to take into account is that SAP systems are interconnected. A long time ago, we only had SAP R3, and with SAP R3, everything was in the same box. This is no longer the case. A lot of customers, they still have SAP ERP, which is the successor of R3, but they have a business warehouse system, they have a CRM system, they have MII, they have an infrastructure environment like Process Orchestrator, etc., etc. Now, it means that if all these systems are interconnected, they need to be migrated more or less at the same time. Now, why is this quite important, and especially important when going to Azure? When you go to Azure, and let's say that you have an ERP system and a business warehouse system, you have to make sure that both systems are migrated to Azure at the same time, because these systems will transfer huge amounts of data. every day or especially every night, and you do not want to have your ERP system sitting in Azure while your business warehouse system is sitting in an on-premise environment, because your network cost will just be enormously, because everything will go through the express route. Not only network cost will be very high, you also have to take latency into account, because let's say that you are based in Brussels and the SAP systems are in Europe North. Well, the data will have to go from more than 250 kilometers from one data center to the next. At Expertum, we have two methodologies. One is the horizontal methodology, migration methodology, and the other one is the vertical one. With the horizontal migration, we mean that we migrate the development system, the acceptance system, and the production system one after the other very fast. So what we actually do is we start with the sandbox system, and on the sandbox system we exercise the migration several times until everybody feels confident with the procedure, and then we will in week 1 do development system, in week 2 do acceptance system, and then the last weekend we will do the production system. Now the advantage is when migrating systems very fast is that, well, first of all, there is no mixed, or it is only a very short mixed environment, meaning the status that, for example, development is running on Windows SQL Server while acceptance and production is still running on Unix Oracle. Now, by doing this very fast, one after the next, this period of a mixed environment is very short, meaning that the freeze period is also very short, and there is no need, as this freeze period is so short, there is no need to mount or to have a tool to share the transport directory. As a side note, if you do an OSDB migration, you can still do transports, because very few changes are really database specific. With one exception is when migrating to SAP HANA, when your custom code needs to be ready for the HANA database. But by using this horizontal migration system, in migrating development, acceptance, production very fast, one after the other one, there is a very short-lived environment, there is no freeze period, no development freeze, and so the migration is done very fast. Now the risk is if you go that fast, there is no room for failure, and that is why we take an extended period on the sandbox system to make sure that everything is tested. With the vertical migration, what we actually mean is that we will migrate systems together which are of the same type. For example, the ERP system together with the CRM and together with the business warehouse system. Now the reason is quite simple. It is because data which is residing in the CRM system, is a part of that data is actually in the ERP system, and the CRM system cannot function without the ERP system being available. Another one is the business warehouse system. The business warehouse system will transfer huge amounts of data from that ERP system, so it might make sense, or it does make sense, to make sure that they are installed in the same data center. So how does the vertical migration work? It actually works that, or what we actually do is, in the same weekend we will migrate ERP, CRM and the business warehouse at the same time. So what we basically do is we work with at least 3 consultants, in which every consultant has his own system to take care. And the reasoning is quite simple: or every system is migrated, or no system is migrated. So if one of these systems migration fails, we will fall back to the original data center for all the systems, just to make sure that we avoid that one system is in one data center and the other system is in another data center. Final slide in the SAP on Azure presentation is way forward. So we've been discussing a lot of stuff in the last few sessions. We've been discussing what Microsoft and Azure is all about in an SAP context. We've been discussing compute, networking, storage, backup recovery, high availability. We have been discussing or explaining design guidelines and guidelines from SAP themselves. We also discussed the migration methodology used at Expertum. Now, if you have all these if you take all these things into account and you want to know more information, what we have at Expertum is some sort of quick assessment design session in which we will give you an overview on how your SAP environment will look like on Azure from a high availability, disaster recovery, performance perspective, also from a cost perspective, and how you can optimize cost into the Azure clouds. And we will also provide you with a way or a project plan on how to do these migrations and how to minimize risk and downtime. Anyway, if you want to have more information, my contact details are in the last slide, so feel free to drop me an email and with any questions that you may have, and we will take it from there. Thank you. Thank you so much for following the sessions on SAP on Azure. If you need any more information, please contact us at expertum.net.